I love ToK, I really do, because it is very important. It is crucial, and ToK actually helps you understand every knowledge better. It makes you a thinker, and in order to learn things by heart, you really should be a thinker. And ToK really just makes you sit down and think, how do I know what I know?
As I believe, ToK is of a paramount importance as it aims to make students aware of the interpretative nature of knowledge, including personal ideological biases, whether these biases are retained, revised, or rejected. It not only offers them the opportunity to reflect critically on diverse ways of knowing and on areas of knowledge, but also helps to consider the role and nature of knowledge in their own culture, in the cultures of others, and in the wider world. Owing to this component of the DP core, I am attentive as a thinker, encouraging myself to become more acquainted with the complexity of knowledge, as well as acting responsibly in an increasingly interconnected but uncertain world.
So, theory of knowledge is so important because it causes you to question the validity of everything you experience in your daily lives. And I know that may sound like a bad thing, however, it really isn't. It really opens up your mind to see how other people's minds work, and it's truly incredible.
This is a bit of a difficult question because personally I don't really like ToK that much. Not because I don't like what I'm studying, but because I find the subject really stressful at times. Because for ToK we are learning about the philosophy of knowledge, so basically we're learning about different things about knowledge, what is knowledge, how we gain knowledge and all that. And it can go like really complex if we're looking really deeply into one like specific area of knowledge, for example. So I find it a bit overwhelming at times, but I think it's really important because it gives you an opportunity to just look at what you've learned and examine knowledge.
Well, ToK is very important because it eases us to be able to communicate our ideas and also be more open-minded students and think about different fields.
And express your ideas.
Yeah, from different perspectives, yeah.
I think ToK is important because it teaches students to be critical thinkers. Thus, they will be rational and unbiased when they take in a certain information.
ToK is a really important subject where you get to talk a lot about trivial and really interesting topics that you probably haven't heard before. And ToK classes are very dynamic, where the teacher explains some theory and then you all share your point of view, and that's really cool actually, because you get to express yourself and improve your speech.
Learning theory of knowledge is basically thinking about how do we know what we know. This is important because we realize the weakness and strength for each way of knowledge, and we can judge our reliability of knowledge by thinking about how did we get this knowledge.
It's difficult to assign a value to ToK at first because obviously it's not a traditional subject and we only have it for the 2 years, so it's not as deeply ingrained in us as all of our other subjects, let's say. But ToK really allows you to think within different perspectives, to allow yourself to be open-minded. What I enjoy most about ToK is the class discussions. Just sitting there with my peers and knowing that nothing I really say is wrong. It's always debatable, and yeah, to the satisfaction you have when you have convinced your peers, oh yeah, maybe that's another way of seeing it, or likewise, you've been convinced by someone else. That's just very satisfying and overall, I'd say, important.
ToK is really important because we see things from a different perspective and we become curious about a world that we thought that we already knew.
I think ToK is important because it gives you a different outlook on life. It makes you question things more and be more analytical about things around you.
ToK is important because it helps you to see things out of the box and also to see different perspectives about the knowledge that you know in a certain area.
I think ToK is important because it makes you have a different perspective on several things we usually don't analyze that much.
ToK for me is very important because it has shown me that it's necessary to be open-minded, to just don't think in one perspective.
ToK is an important course in IB2 because it helps a student become a better critical thinker. As an example, for me, there are certain aspects of life that I consider to be unquestionable facts, but since I started doing ToK, I started questioning everything that I learned through different ways.
A lot of people like to label it as a boring subject and a subject that is not needed in the IB. But I do believe that it teaches us an important lesson, and that's to always question everything.
Theory of knowledge is important because it makes students aware of the interpretative nature of knowledge.
ToK is important because it studies about the interpretations of knowledge and including personal beliefs.
When one enters IB, they usually wonder, why does the program have a subject like ToK? As a huge lover of theory of knowledge, I can vouch for the fact that it has made me a much sensitive human being. It has taught me the difference between morals, ethics, seeing the world in grey, understanding different perspectives and people where they come from. Sometimes in life, you may encounter a situation where even doing the supposedly right thing would make you feel guilty. And how to deal with it? Well, ToK is the answer for that.
ToK is important because it broadens the scope of students as they view knowledge from different angles and evaluate issues from different perspectives.
I find ToK truly mind-blowing. Anything and everything around us tells us something about the world and its history. A mere and mundane mechanical pencil shows our development from the earlier days where pencils required to be sharpened every time. ToK helps us perceive the world from more than just one lens.
I reckon ToK is important as it aims a student to be aware of the interpretative nature of knowledge.
ToK helps analyze things in a whole new level. I think that this is one of the most important subjects in the whole program and helps us to see things in a more objective way.
ToK emphasizes on how much important is the acquisition of knowledge in these times.
I think theory of knowledge is important because we learn every day in every single subject, but we never question how we learn. So theory of knowledge is in charge of this questioning, and it guides us to ask questions on how is it that we learn? How is this process? How do we claim that we know if it's right or not? So it makes us aware of what we claim knowledge is.
Because it gives us the ability to question things that we encounter in our lives. It allows us to inquire about what we have always taken for granted and launch it on a quest to discover that knowledge ourselves.
I would say that ToK is really important because it makes us reflect. And the class is more about the activity itself, the action. But really the mental part, the psychological part that it involves, the thinking of the society and how we are a part of it, and also how important it is to identify and evolve in those senses of religion, knowledge, which is to a certain extent philosophical matters, but it applies a lot to our normal everyday lives.
ToK is important because it offers students and teachers a place to consider the nature of knowledge and our role as thinkers. I think students discover a wide range of perspectives that promotes critical thinking.
I believe that the most important aspect of theory of knowledge is that it doesn't teach us what to think or what is it that we think. It teaches us how to think. In a way, it helps us reflect critically on diverse ways of knowing itself.
ToK
has helped us to be aware of the nature of knowledge and to question personal ideologies.
I think that ToK is really important because it teaches you how to think critically, like to have your own thoughts and opinions about any subject, and without being guided by external opinions or whatever. It helps you to think properly.
ToK makes me think to a deeper level than I ever have before. Not only does it help me evaluate the why am I doing this, but also the what does it mean to think about why am I doing this, which has helped me grow immensely as a deep thinker.
ToK is important because it really encourages us to think beyond and to really evaluate how we view our world and helps us to become more introspective individuals in the future.
ToK is important as it allows us to explore the meaning behind everything to ever exists. Alongside, it also gives us an opportunity to learn diverse ways of areas of knowledge, religion, culture, etc.
Theory of knowledge is key for getting the IB diploma, as it has as the main purpose to encourage the IB students to reflect more critically, based on the ways of knowing and the 8 areas of knowledge. This provides us of valuable information needed to understand more clearly and not only that, but also to be more aware of everything that surrounds us.
I believe that ToK is very important because it gives you a new critical way of thinking in the most unbiased and objective manner in different areas of knowledge.
ToK is important to me because it teaches me to analyze the facts that I take in.
ToK is important since it sharpens your knowledge, thinking and understanding skills as an IB student.
ToK, it's important to develop your own consciousness, the way you think of, well, not the way you think, but the way you process information, the way you speak, the way you try to interpret your own ideas.
Theory of knowledge is important because it gives you a new perspective of all the world, and you can see many things in other ways.
It aims to teach the students to think critically. IB focuses you to become a lifelong learner. Take time to learn how to learn.
It gives you the tools you will need for this confusing world first. It gives you the tools to think by yourself, to not believe everything you see.
I believe that ToK is important because it allows us, apart from allowing us to talk about subjects that we don't usually see in class, that it grants us the opportunity to deeply analyze those topics that are important in the world.
Theory of knowledge is a very important subject, since it has taught me to be more aware of the possible flaws of my learning, and to question knowledge, which help us be less naive and to value knowledge even more.
Well, I think it makes you understand the knowledge, and it makes you to know how to know, basically.
It helps us have a mind that is out of the box. It helps us get to the nitty-gritty of things that we thought we knew for granted, but instead we didn't. It helps us be more open-minded.